and welcome to Viv and Dave's Real Voices of Happy Valley podcast. Just Dave this week because it's going to be me talking to a couple of guys from Andy's Man Club. So, the story of Andy's Man Club. A chap called Andy Roberts committed suicide in 2016. His devastated friends and family got together and looked at some of the issues. Soon realised that suicide is the biggest killer of males under the age of 50 in this country. A lot of it is to do with men not talking to each other and not talking about mental health. There's a stigma around mental health for everybody, but particularly some males feel it. This can lead to isolation and the belief that it's just you, when in fact it isn't just you. And lots of other guys are feeling the same or facing similar issues. And sometimes these issues come together in a crisis. Moving house, changing relationships, losing jobs, falling out with mates, with family. All kinds of things happen, but they don't just happen to you. They happen to lots and lots of men, if not all of them, at some point. So Andy's Man Club, they set up Andy's Man Club, deciding that the best way to get men talking is just to get men talking. So men are invited to group meetings on Mondays, 7 till 9 p.m. The first guys started one up in Halifax. They found that somebody from Hebden Bridge came along who said, I bet we could do with this in Hebden Bridge. So set up another group in Hebden Bridge, which was attended by someone from Todmorden who thought we could do with this in Todmorden. So very, very quickly there were more groups. And now if you go on the website, andysmanclub.co.uk, you will see there are somewhere in the region of 200 clubs up and down the country. The measure of the importance and significance of Andy's Man Club is the fact that men have just got up and done it and keep doing it and realise that there's a need for it in their area. So there's constantly new groups being set up. Community centres, schools, football, rugby clubs all offer spaces for free when they can. So there's no cost involved. Every group meets on Mondays. So it's the same wherever you go. And if you go to a different town that may well have a group, you can get involved and join in with them. And basically, men get to chat about issues, whatever issues are concerning them. Invariably, they find that somebody else in the room is having some of the same issues, or maybe all of the same issues and some more. So just talking about it can help. As Andy says, when you listen to the two guys we have a chat with, it's just blokes talking to other blokes. It's nothing any more complicated than that. It's not going to therapy or counselling. It's just guys talking to other guys. When we move around and we move from one town to another, some people have, they're into football or rugby, and so they join football or rugby clubs. Other people have political campaigns or parties that they can transfer their membership across. Not everybody has those things to sort of make you feel part of the new area you're in or the new circumstance you find yourself in. Andy's Man Club is there to fill that gap. So, and importantly, you don't need to be on the verge of suicide. Any man, can go along to any of these groups and chat. You chatting about your problems not only helps you, it helps other people as well. So, I met two guys from Andy's Man Club. We met outside the Ring of Bells pub on one of those rare sunny days we have. So you will hear some extraneous noise, revelry from a table nearby, vehicles going past and what have you, but persevere because it's really interesting. We're sitting outside the Ring of Bells pub in Halifax with, what's your name?
My name's Elliot.
And you are?
Andy.
Of Andy's Man Club. I can assure you that Elliot and Andy are on soft drinks.
Indeed.
I've got a pint of pale ale. So, I'm really interested in sort of talking to you about Andy's Man Club. It seems to me relatively new. I'm not sure quite when it starts off, but it's taken off everywhere from what I can make out.
Yeah, pretty much. So it first started in 2016. It's very, very rapidly approaching the 8th anniversary of that. First group ever was held 4th of July, say 2016. One group in Halifax with 9 guys in attendance that first night. Currently, we've got in excess of 190 groups dotted around the UK.
190? That's fantastic.
A lot of that growth has come about in the last 3 years. We have a anniversary video that got put together when we turned 5 years old, and a big landmark of that was that we opened our 50th club. So in the just short of 3 years since that, we've pretty much quadrupled in size.
And you cover the whole country?
Vast swathes of it now. There are still patches where we've yet to break into. That growth has all been organic and has come from within. So if we went, for example, we started in Halifax. From there, we got organically moved out to Hebden Bridge. We had guys that attended Halifax, got on board, wanted to give back, help out, did so, took it into Hebden Bridge. Hebden Bridge then has naturally, organically expanded. We have a group out in Todmorden. So again, it's all guys that have started out as users. They've got their help that they needed. They've got through whatever that...
Users of the group.
Users of the group, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Service users.
Yes.
Users
can mean other things as well.
Brought them in the door. Being in a position where they then want to give back and help out and have joined the facilitator teams and expanded us. And all the 190 plus groups have come around in that same way.
And there's still a group in Halifax, Hebden Bridge, Todmorden, one in Brighouse.
Yeah, we've actually got 2 in Halifax.
So right.
The main one is at Shea Stadium, so the central Halifax group. And then we have a Halifax North group, as we call it, which is up in Illingworth. It's quite a heavily populated, a lot of houses and stuff around that area, so we've got a second group up there as well. Yeah, Hebden Bridge, Todmorden, Brighouse, Huddersfield, Ainley Top. So there's quite a few around this particular patch.
Yes, and is it the case that they all meet on Monday evenings?
Yeah, so all groups, all those 190 plus group, all meet on a Monday night, 7 o'clock till 9, except for bank holidays. That comes about through us trying to keep all the groups as far as possible running the same way. And some of those groups are in venues that don't open on a bank holiday, so we don't have access. We don't want any ambiguity about when the groups are on and stuff.
Now, I looked on your website, and there seems to be a lot of football clubs involved as meeting places. And I think you mentioned it mentions the Shea, Spotland in Rochdale, and I feel is that deliberate or is that just?
It's the community aspect of it, and to be fair, there's quite a lot of different sports across the board. You know, we've got football clubs, rugby clubs, and what have you. The main one at the moment that's very recent is the Man City Etihad Stadium. They've just come on board and we're opening a group there shortly. But yeah, Shea Stadium is both football and the rugby for Halifax. Bradford, we've got 2 groups over in Bradford, one's at the football stadium, one's at the rugby stadium. So they're generally very supportive, and it is that community side of it.
So it's a two-way thing, it's not necessarily just you saying
to a degree. I mean,
into football and rugby, but
they give us a lot of promotion. But it also helps their players. You know, it's traditionally men's sport still. There's a lot of more women's involvement and all for that. But still the majority of players are men. The majority of the fan base and spectators. You know, you turn up to any stadium and look in the crowd and the majority of it's men. But so that's their players. It's also their audience and their fan base that they're wanting to look after, and we give them an avenue to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, football's my game basically, so I'm fully aware that there's a lot of mental health issues within football, and I'm sure that applies within other sports.
And if you follow Leeds like myself, they cause a lot of that. So, you know,
me too. For all my sins.
Such is life.
Yeah, well, my team's Everton, so I know. I think we can share stories about. Excuse me. So, can I ask what happens at these group meetings?
Yeah.
You want to take that?
Yeah. So a group meeting's really simple. We go through 5 questions every week with the men who attend. We chuck a little sneaky 6th question in, which is just what's your name and what's one positive reason for being here. That's question 0. that's the only question we'll actually ask a man to answer on the night, because we find listening can be just as powerful as that talking. Just understanding that other people are going through similar situations as yourself. We then go through the 3 set questions, which we've come up with through years of experience that kind of help men get things off their chest. And that's just, how's your week been briefly? What's one positive from your week? What's one thing, as I said, to get off your chest? That get off your chest is whatever it is for you. It can be anything as big as, I don't want to be here anymore. It can be anything as little as, I got a parking ticket and I don't really want to pay it. It's whatever you feel you need to get off your chest to move on with your week. Okay. We then go for a short break, which everyone always thinks, oh, it's a break, it's fine, that's just a bit of it. But it's actually a really important part of it, because it gives the men a chance to bond and talk to each other. That's where they can grab a cup of tea, grab a biscuit, and just have a chat with like-minded men. And then we'll go into the 2 questions that change every week. I personally brand them the happy questions, because they're all about picking men back up after question 3. And they can change from any variety of, who was your first celebrity crush? What's your favourite flavour of crisp? What's the best biscuits? If you could walk in one man's footsteps, who would it be? It's those kind of questions, and they're designed, as I said, to get the men talking about something a bit more positive, get them a bit more uplifted, but also bond them, because what you find is it's really important for men to feel like they can bond together. And those questions like, who was your first celebrity crush? Instantly everyone puts a smile on their face, because they recognise it and they know who their first celebrity crush was.
Valerie Singleton.
There you go. And I won't say mine because it'll show my age.
Well, it's just show mine.
But it instantly gets the men kind of talking and bonding together. So that's a really useful part of an AMC.
Right.
The flip side of that as well, some of the stuff there, especially when it comes to talking about activities. Is Bossman told you you've got to get a photo when we turn up? Yeah, by all means.
Thank you.
It's a celebrity. You've just been papped. Yeah, that's quite nice.
We're good.
Where were we? Oh yeah, so the
question 5, I was just jumping in with an extra positive on back of that, an extra bonus. Like Elliot said, it allows that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But from that, then develops a social scene on the back of it.
Yeah.
The Monday night clubs are what we're all about and the main crux of it. But then on the back of that, it allows people to bond over common interests, whether it is football or
crisps
or mountain biking. I've been all over this country mountain biking with lads that I've met through Andy's Man Club.
Yeah.
Pick a hobby. Chances are somebody's going to be into it.
Yes.
So it creates that social aspect, again, that community building side of it aside and as well on top of the Monday night club nights.
So is this linked to things like lots of research that says women find it easier to make friends, or women have more close friends than men generally?
And there's a lot of truths in that. There's also a lot of things as an aside that are more circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I always use relationship breakups as a prime example of this. And again, it's generally speaking, it's not always the case, but especially when it's a male-female couple split up, more often than not, it's the bloke that gets removed from the family home and has to think about somewhere else to go and live and all that stuff that he's got to deal with in and amongst going through the emotions of the breakup. Now, if somebody else in that group has been through a similar situation, found themselves in a similar place, you might be able to turn around and say to that guy, well, I went to this organisation and they helped me find a flat to get me on my feet while I got everything sorted. He can then take that information, put it into his situation and help himself out.
So there's a lot of practical support like that.
It's just shared experiences. It's we mentioned right from off, it's very simple. It is simple, but it works.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think the key to it is it's peer-to-peer. It's not clinical. There's no paid doctors, psychiatrists there. It's you're looking to go into a group and you're going to be faced with other men who've all either been through that storm or are going through that storm, and they can share that with you. And it's that mutual understanding of knowing what each other are going through.
Right. And I know this is a really sort of odd one, really, because in terms of measurement, I mean, I can ask you how effective. Not find out well. I'll just ask you, how effective do you think it is?
Massively.
Yeah.
Let's give you a bit of context. I initially started Andy's Man Club not for myself, as the vast majority do. It's guys going through their own stuff, but I actually went on to support somebody else. Mm-hmm. That was my son.
Yeah.
He'd made attempts on his own life. Part of me finding Andy's Man Club was looking for help for him. He would tell you now, without question, absolutely no shadow of doubt, Andy's Man Club saved his life. He wouldn't be here without it.
And I will happily give a first-person account of that. So I attempted my life twice when I was younger. And it was my dad who found it for me. And he, in one last desperate attempt, just Googled Mental Health Services Devon, where we were living at the time. And Andy's Man Club happened to pop up. And he took me along. And I wouldn't be sat here today, never mind wearing the T-shirt and talking to you, but I wouldn't be sat talking to anyone. My parents would not have a son. My partner wouldn't have a partner. If it wasn't for this club, it has helped me dramatically.
That's one of the things I mean, really. In terms of measurement, you can't measure how many people haven't committed suicide or self-harmed or whatever. But
I could bring you 50 guys now and tell you that they're still here because of the...
Yeah, and it's really. I mean, it's really important to be able to sort of know those things. And I guess the real measurement is not how many people haven't self-harmed, committed suicide, but how rapidly it's grown. That the rapid growth seems to be saying there's a need for this.
The success is the proof in the pudding, as far as I'm concerned. The more people do benefit of it, they want to tell other people.
Yeah.
Because they learn those lessons about it is okay to talk.
Yeah.
And then those people come in to see, get their own taste of it, their own experience, and go, wow, there's something in this. Yeah. And then he tells his mate, or his cousin, or his brother, or his son, he's going through some stuff, and he's like, you know what, give this a go.
And it's as Andy said earlier, it's the fact that it's all organic growth shows you how much it's worked. Because it's not like we're going out and paying people to start clubs or things like that. This is people off their own back going, this has helped me so much. And I've been travelling 20 miles to get to a club. I want to make one in my area. And they're getting another group of lads together who want to do the same thing. And that just shows you what incredible power the club has over these men's lives, that they're willing to give back on a Monday night.
And is it for any man? You don't have to be on the verge of suicide or anything that dramatic.
Absolutely. As long as you're over 18 and identify as a man. Yeah. That's quite an important bit as well. Then you're welcome. You're far from have to be suicidal. You don't even have to be going through some stuff. You just be curious, want to know what it's all about. I mentioned earlier and used the relationship breakup as an example because there's that isolation, loneliness element. Yeah. Again, the social aspect of it. Room full of new mates. You just haven't met them yet.
Yeah.
We get so many men walk through the door because they might be lonely or isolated after moving to a new city or just not getting out much, especially since the pandemic. They've lost contact with friends. They don't have people to natter to. And they're coming along not because they're at the point of suicide, but just because they want to break that isolation. They want to have people to talk to who are like-minded men, who understand mental health, are not going to judge them, and they can come along and just have a natter on a Monday night.
That sounds fantastic, because again, it's not about the dramatic, potentially fatal end of it. It's about being a bloke.
Yeah, and everything in between.
Yeah.
We get both of those aspects, both of those complete spectrums, and everything in between. It's just a bunch of blokes having a chat.
Sounds a great idea. So it's anyone who identifies as a man.
It's over 18, yeah.
Right. Okay. But on people who may or may not be men, but identify as men, isn't that they have significantly different issues from other men?
Potentially. Mm-hmm. But every man in that room's got different issues.
Right.
Everybody's. What I always say to people, and I have this conversation quite often, is that as people, we all go through stuff in life. Yeah. There's no escaping that. Circumstances, things are going to happen, situations are going to arise. The circumstances around that situation are unique to the individual, no matter what. Nobody else is going through the exact same things. But there might well be other men in that group that are going through similar stuff.
Right.
And can then relate, can share experiences and bond over that, whatever those experiences may be.
That sounds excellent. And the only other question I've got is funding. All these rooms cost money to hire. Do you get funding? Do people give you the rooms for free?
The vast majority of our rooms are donated free for us to use. The absolute vast. There's a few that do get paid for. circumstances. I'm currently looking for a new venue and may have to pay for a temporary venue until we find a permanent solution.
That's fantastic. And again, that shows community support for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's about sustainability. We never want to be in a position where we have to close a group because we can't afford rent on that building. So for sustainability purposes, it just makes sense for us to have donated rooms, and it means that no matter what happens, those groups will always be able to open on a Monday night.
Right, and I mean, it seems to me that it fits with your philosophy of look after yourself, look after everybody else, and just get on and do it yourself and not worry about the cost.
The amount of times as well that I've, like this morning, been to visit a venue, a lot of those people have got personal experience of somebody they know or somebody they know knows somebody who has attempted or has succeeded.
Yeah.
So it is a very personal thing. It's one of these things. Is depression, suicide. It is absolutely not selective. Anybody is subject to it. Anybody has that potential to find themselves in that place. And so many people do know somebody and have that personal experience.
As I said before, lots of research, anecdotal stuff. Women bond with other women quite strongly. I mean, how does this work for men?
I think Andy's Man Club's a really good bonding point for men. An example I always use when we, as area leads, we go do talks to companies and we have to explain to people how beneficial Andy's Man Club can be. And the example I always come to is, I was a chef for many years and struggled with a crippling addiction. And I went through rehab last year. And I didn't tell any of the boys at the club until the last week. And on the last week, I said to them, "Oh, by the way, there's a graduation on Wednesday for my rehab. If any of you want to come, just pop along. It's at 1 o'clock." And I gave them the address. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe one or two will turn up and say something nice about me. At the graduations of this particular rehab, they were used to having about 10 people, so close friends and family come. My friends and family came. That was about 10 people. And then 25 lads from Andy's Man Club turned up to come and support me graduating from rehab. And I think that just shows the bond that this place can create between men.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, thanks a lot, lads. And so it's easy to find, and it's worth finding for anyone. You don't have to be depressed. Yeah, just somewhere to go.
Just somewhere to come, have a chat with like-minded blokes.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot.